Hey everybody, welcome to the Song Revolution podcast, brought to you by Nashville Christian Songwriters. Nashville Christian Songwriters exists to empower Christian songwriters worldwide. I'm John Chisum, and this podcast exists to bring you valuable songwriting insights, inspiration, interviews, and just all around good fun with some of the greatest songwriters, producers, arrangers, artists, and creatives, and beyond. You can find out a whole lot more about us at NashvilleChristianSongwriters.com. Hey everybody, John Chisum here. Welcome to the show. I am so glad you tuned in. You just don't know how thankful I am for you, and I realize that your time is valuable. So for you to take a little bit of time to listen to the Song Revolution podcast, to encourage yourself, means so much to me. Well, today I want to talk about dream your way to songwriting success. And some of you might be going, okay, wait a minute. Has John turned into Tony Robbins or some kind of motivational speaker for me? And, suddenly it's all about dreams. It's all about visions. It's all about some whack kind of stuff when what I really need to do is get my songs out in front of people. Well, you know what? Maybe yes, maybe a little bit. I have just seen over the years how important mindset really is to songwriting, and dreaming is so key to songwriting success. In fact, dreaming is key to every kind of success, any kind of success, all success that we hope to have in life is really certainly tied in with our dreams. The word says that faith is the substance of things hoped for. And when our hope dies, when our dreams die, we lose all kind of impetus and motivation to make our dreams come true. And I've said this many times on the podcast, and so you guys, forgive me if I sound like a stuck record, but I really think that somehow we've been sold a bill of goods and we've become very passive in our faith, where we're waiting for God to show up. We're waiting for God to do something. We're waiting for God to move. Well, you know what, my friends? God has moved. God has shown up. There is something called the finished work of Jesus. And I really believe with all of my heart that everything that God has done for Jesus, He's provided for us. And we could break that down into all kinds of things today, but I'm going to try to bring that back into our songwriting, because dreaming of success in songwriting is one thing that is so important because it motivates us. It causes us to get up and do something about our songwriting. If we become apathetic, if we lose the dream, then we just wind up depressed and sad and blaming other people for all of our problems, and that's just no way to be. I mean, how much do you believe in your dream of becoming a successful songwriter? Have you been shut down in this dream just because of discouragement, maybe a lack of knowledge or a lack of definition around your goals for your songwriting? What does success really look like for you, and how can you empower your songwriting dreams? Well, for the next few minutes, I want to really talk with you about the roles of faith and perseverance in making your dreams of successful songwriting come true, as well as the bulletproof mindset that you just got to maintain every day if you're going to achieve what you believe is a calling from God on your life to write great songs. I've personally spoken with almost 400 people on the phone, potential clients for NCS, over the last 9 or 10 months. Literally, I've spoken with about 400 people. Every person that I've talked to has just passionately described their calling. They feel that God has given them a unique message. Maybe there's a unique story, and they dream and long for this to be expressed in successful songs. And we talk about this, and we talk about the different things that we do to help empower them, and they choose to go forward with that or not at whatever level that they decide to do that. And that's cool. I totally get it. But the number one issue is always self-belief. Do you believe in yourself? Do you believe in your dream enough to invest what it really, really takes to become the kind of songwriter that you dream of being? I think that's probably the most important question that I could ask you today is, what is the level of faith you have in yourself? Faith in God is amazing, and it's a prerequisite. You've got to have faith in God. But what kind of faith do you have in yourself? What kind of faith do you have in your own dream? Because that faith is what releases you into songwriting success. Now, I had a great question in our Successful Christian Songwriters Facebook group the other day where someone asked, and I think it's a legitimate question, they asked, has anyone in this group actually become a successful Christian songwriter? And, if we were less sincere, if we were just trying to fake our way through this thing and try to sell a bunch of stuff to people and make money and whatever, take advantage of people's dreams, that would be a very frightening question. But you know what? It's a great question. We have about 4,300 people in that group from all over the world, people of all kinds of levels, aspiring songwriters of every type, worship writers, singer-songwriters, all kinds of writers. We have a very high engagement in that group. I love that question. I really do love that question. Has anyone in this group actually become a successful Christian songwriter? Because it gave me the opportunity to address the fact that success is at different levels for different people. If you're holding the very narrow funnel of Christian Christian radio, it's a very narrow funnel. If you're holding that up as the yardstick for success, well, hey, that very few people actually get to that point. But that's not the only way to have success. That's not the only way to be a success in your songwriting. One of my clients is an attorney, and he is in his 60s, and his success, when he came to me for help, his success was to write songs for his congregation. Well, guess what? We helped him to do that. He's been able to use a number of his songs with his congregation, and are they ever going to be on Christian radio? Probably not. But you know what? He has reached success in the realm that he wanted success. And so I think that at some point you have to decide at what is the context. We talk about context a lot. What is the context for your success? Are you a success if you become a commercial Christian songwriter? Well, set your sights on that. Keep that dream alive. Invest what you have to. Get the training, get the mentoring, get the coaching, get the help that you need to reach that goal. A lot of times people think that if they could just get their current songs in front of important people in the Christian music business, that they would suddenly have a break, they would suddenly be heard, they would suddenly get their songs out there and become a success. Well, let me tell you, if I were able to pull in 5 of the top publishers in Nashville right now into this room and you play your songs, what are the odds that you really have the kind of songs that would make it onto recordings today? Right? I mean, you have to answer that question. Reality is a good thing. And sometimes we need a little bit of a wake-up call to say, okay, that's where I want to be. What do I have in my hand now? Where am I? What level of writer am I right now? If I'm really going to strive for being a commercial songwriter, how do my songs stack up? And really kind of come out of this kind of false dream that we're going to be discovered, that someone's going to walk into the room, hear our songs, and suddenly make us the next Chris Tomlin. It just doesn't really happen that way. There's a lot of perseverance and a lot of faith that you have to use in order to attain to that commercial level. I'm telling you what, most people fall far shy of investing the kind of effort into themselves, investment and effort and the time and the blood, sweat, and tears that people like Chris Tomlin and Matt Maher and all these other people that have spent years building their ministries, building the value of their songs. A lot of times people just want it to happen overnight. And friends, it just doesn't happen like that. You've got to have what I call a bulletproof mindset if you're going to maintain the level of commitment every day to achieve this calling. So, I think that there are some key things that we need to think about today if we're going to go toward that. And I think the first thing is to begin to see yourself as a professional songwriter. You've got to begin to think like a professional songwriter. I know people get, I don't want to project this, that people get tired of hearing me talk about about mindset, but I think that mindset is 90% of everything that we do. Everything in life hinges, every successful thing hinges on the mindset that we bring to it. And if we are easily discouraged, if we blame people for what's not happening for us, if we're waiting for a rescue, if we're waiting for a leg up, whatever it is that we're waiting on, that's just time that we're wasting. And so we have to begin to shift our mindset and shift the way that we think about ourselves. And we have to begin to invest the kind of faith and hope and that dream in ourselves to say, this is what I believe God has called me to do, and I'm going to marshal all of my resources to go toward that goal. I'm going to stop blaming people. I'm going to stop looking for someone to come and rescue and miraculously make this happen. And I'm going to get up off of my blessed assurance, and I'm going to make this happen with God's help. It's the difference in waiting on God and then allowing, or the opposite of allowing God to rise up within us to go do the thing that He's called us to do, right? And so we have to begin to start seeing ourselves in a successful songwriting situation, whether that's just at your church, whether that's traveling as a singer-songwriter, whether that is writing worship that people are singing around the world. We've got to begin to believe in that dream and see that as an inevitable outcome with all the effort that God is inspiring today. What is the next right step today? And what that comes down to is enlarging our vision, stretching the boundaries of our faith to become more successful in everything. I've probably said it many times on this podcast, but I'll say it again right now. We bring all that we are to the songwriting endeavor. If we're depressed, we bring depression and probably some pretty ineffective tools and mindset to that process, and we're probably hindered. If we are discouraged, if we are confused, if we don't really have the best kind of tools for writing songs, then we bring that. We bring all we are to the songwriting process. We bring all that we are to everything, to our relationships, to our businesses, to our income. We bring all that we are. And so if we long to be more, we've got to stretch the boundaries of our faith to become more successful. We've got to find ways to become a student of great songwriting. I just see this pattern over and over and over where songwriters feel that whatever level they are at this moment is the level that they ought to be accepted by Christian radio. I deal with songwriters every single day who play me songs, and in their minds, they actually believe that that song is ready for the radio. You know, friends, we have got to wake up. We've got to open our eyes. We've got to become more enlightened and savvy when it comes to understanding the competition that is there in the songwriting arena. When we've got to understand, if we're going to write at a highly commercial level, we've got to understand what's current, the actual principles. Yes, there are formulas in a lot of ways. We've got to understand what makes a radio song work if that is our goal. If that's not our goal, great. We need to understand whatever genre and context. But guys, we've just got to become more dedicated to becoming a student of great songwriting and what we have to do, what we must do to reach those goals. You know, there's a great correlation in my mind between sports training and songwriting, regardless of whatever kind of sport you enjoy, whether it's tennis or basketball or gymnastics or whatever it is, skiing, I don't know, whatever kind of sport you like. Those athletes that really excel, they get training, more and more training. They have multiple coaches. They have mindset coaches. They have shooting coaches. They have people that come alongside them and help train them and call the best out of them. I always think about Simone Biles, who was a gold medalist in last year's Olympics, and just amazing kid. I think she's 15 or 16 years old. Just absolutely amazing. amazing. And, she had talent when she was a kid. Obviously, someone saw that talent. Maybe she was raised up to be a gymnast. I'm not sure. Maybe she just got interested as a kid. Someone saw the talent and someone helped coach that talent. It takes a lot more than talent to win gold. And so little Simone Biles had a bunch of help. She had a lot of help getting those gold medals to hang around her neck. And it's going to be the same with you. Wherever you get the training, whether it's with us here at NCS or wherever you get it, you need someone speaking into your life through any kind of resources that are going to encourage you. But you've got to have someone helping you. There's just such a great correlation between training, the mindset that goes into sports, and the skills. You've got to have that in your songwriting. You've got to learn great skills. The things that you don't know, you've got to get some coaching to help you realize that and then step up, go to the next level. Take hold of your dream again and go to the next level. We've got to learn how to take possession of our goals and dreams instead of leaving our fate in other people's control. I see this all the time. I know I'm repeating myself. My wife tells me I repeat myself a lot, but I think it bears repeating that we have this false belief in Christian songwriting that if we could just be heard by the right people, then our dreams will be fulfilled. Well, let me tell you, it just doesn't happen like that. If you're going to have the kind of songs that deserve to be heard by those people in those situations, you have to take possession of your goals. That's what I'm saying. That's the whole point. I hope you're hearing me today. You have to take complete responsibility for getting yourself there. It's like, pray to catch the bus, but then run, right? You've got to add those works with your faith. You can't sit on the couch eating bonbons and Cheetos and expect great music publishers to just show up at your door or to show up on your YouTube channel or show up on your iTunes. You've got to build the value into your songs week in and week out. You've got to really begin to put a game plan together of how you're going to reach this goal, or you're going to be sitting here the next year with eating bonbons and Cheetos, and that's what you're going to have. And so when I'm talking with potential clients, a lot of times, the first question I'll ask is, where do you want to be 1 year from now? And then they'll tell me they want to have a CD out, or they want to write 10 great songs, or they want to have a song published by a great artist and all that. So then the next question is, well, what are you going to do to make that happen? And then we begin to talk about strategy. We begin to talk about what really goes into that. I think there's a bit of unrealistic expectations that we have because we have a spiritual overlay in Christianity where we, again, are passively waiting on God. We think God's spoken these things to us, and He probably has, but then we just sit and wait on Him to do it when He has already given us everything we need to go and make these dreams come true. But we've got to stand up and believe in them. So one of the greatest things, or the worst things rather, that keep us from fulfilling this calling in our lives is fear. We fear rejection. We fear being laughed at or dismissed. We fear not being good enough. We fear that we'll make mistakes. It's almost like public speaking, which is like the number one fear, even over death, I think. But we fear rejection. Well, let me tell you, you cannot fear rejection if you're going to be a successful songwriter at any level. Even if you're just going to sing your songs for your family, if you're going to sing your songs for your church, if you're going to be pitching your songs for multi-gold level, platinum, whatever artists or publishers, you cannot have fear. You have got to overcome that fear and that discouragement. A lot of discouragement comes just from a lack of a plan. If you can get a goal, if you can decide what it is you want, get clarity about what level of engagement you want to have in this thing called songwriting and successful Christian songwriting, and you begin to map out the steps toward that plan, all discouragement. I mean, you might deal with discouragement sometimes, but you're not going to be shut down. You're not going to be sitting on the couch depressed and discouraged if you create a plan for yourself. You've got to do this. I remember years ago when I worked at Integrity Music, I did over 200 pieces of product. I was managing 18 full-time songwriters, and we were doing a tremendous amount of products. And the only way that I was able to keep up with what was going on and actually hit the deadlines was to work backwards. I had to decide what my goal was, which was 3.5 months from this date. I have to have a completed recording of 10 or 12 great songs and then work backwards. I had to work backwards from that goal to reach that deadline. And I got pretty good at that, and working with the songwriters and the producers and the studios and the musicians, and actually just overseeing those to the point where we actually accomplished that goal. I got pretty good at it, and I managed it with spreadsheets and all kinds of things. But that's a great example of what I'm talking about. If you want to have a CD out of your fantastic songs in 1 year from now, work backwards from that year. Hiring a producer, getting in the studio, recording the album, that's actually the last steps. The beginning steps back to where you are right now is to decide, okay, what do I need to do to write these great songs? How many songs am I going to write? What will be the theme? What is it that I really want to say? And how can I craft the best possible songs so that they will stand out from the crowd, and I won't just have another mediocre CD sitting in my closet that nobody wants? How am I going to do that? How am I going to prepare for that and then work your way mentally and on paper backwards from that goal, and then begin to accomplish it? Setting aside the budget for your training, for your songwriting, for everything that you need to invest in those songs, and then eventually get into the production phase. So we've got to learn effective ways to keep fear and discouragement out of our mind. And I think that's the first step, is get clear about what it is you really want, and not just have this amorphous kind of thing out there. I want to be successful. Well, what does that mean? How do you break success into bite-sized pieces where you can really accomplish and become a successful person? What does that look like for you? Like I mentioned my client earlier who just wanted to have his song sung in his church. Well, that was very clear, and we accomplished that goal. With other clients, they really wanted to prepare for a CD, and guess what? We've done that, and it's fantastic, and we certainly help do all that kind of thing. But we have to realize, when it comes to fear and discouragement, depression, and all that kind of thing, is that we bring all we are to our songs, and we've got to learn to bring our best selves to the writing endeavor. And so how can we do that? Well, I think that probably the most valuable exercise that I can give you today to sharpen your mental commitment to your songwriting success and ways that you can experience powerful growth quickly is by getting clear every single day. I know people that write their goals on an index card and put it in their pocket or their wallet or their purse and carry it around with them. Some people record empowering messages on their phones and listen to them. Some people listen to things on YouTube that are encouraging and motivational speakers, that kind of thing. I certainly listen to a ton of that to keep myself encouraged in what I'm doing here and how I'm helping you guys. But the single most effective thing that I have done for myself to keep my mental commitment to my dreams and my success very, very clear is journal. Journaling is the one thing that keeps me powerfully connected with those things that I'm striving for in my heart. I do keep bullet point lists as far as I want, the things that I want to accomplish on a timeline and in certain ways, but journaling around what's going on, not just pouring out all the drab, dark, depressed feelings and kind of, just kind of getting all that out. Maybe there's value in that. But what I do is I pick a promise. I pick a promise around the finished work of Jesus. That one of the things that I journal a lot about, I'm going to be very, very vulnerable here, is that Colossians 1:27, Christ in you, the hope of glory. I spend a lot of my time meditating on and thinking about those scriptures that have promised the abiding presence of Jesus, because I believe that if I can understand that at a deeper subconscious level, if I can really be permeated with the belief, with the faith that Jesus is not only showing up every now and then, but he is abiding within me, within my very body. You know, the Bible says, Paul said, you have the fullness of the Godhead bodily in you. That is just insane. That is so crazy. Colossians 1:27, Christ in you, the hope of glory. I will never leave or forsake you. And on and on and on, the New Testament scriptures promise the indwelling of the Holy Spirit. So the same Spirit that raised Christ from the dead dwells in you. Ephesians chapter 1, where Paul prayed that the eyes of our heart would be enlightened. We would know the hope of his calling on our lives, the glorious riches of the inheritance of the saints, and the exceeding greatness of his power within us, which is that same power that raised Jesus Christ from the dead. Friends, if we could only get that deep and deeper and deeper into our minds and deeper into our activities, deeper into our behaviors, deeper into our songwriting endeavors, oh my goodness, what a change that would be if we felt that we were truly writing out of not just a surface sense or surface acknowledgement that that's what the Bible says, but a living reality that Jesus indwells our very pores, our DNA. Every breath is Jesus. And we bring that kind of mentality, that kind of successful mindset, that kind of bulletproof mindset, that if God himself, if Jesus himself dwells in me and he's wanting to write his story through my songs, I don't even have the words to say, but that's what I meditate on all the time. When I go out for my walks almost every day, the first thing I start saying out loud to myself is that I and my Father are one. And I am a joint heir with Jesus. I am filled with Jesus Christ. And he said, I and the Father are one. If you've seen me, you've seen the Father. And I just meditate on that. And I do my whole 45-minute walk, just even saying out loud these things that I'm saying to you, that I'm one with God. I'm not God, but I'm one with God. And I am indwelled by the power, the magnificent power of the living Jesus Christ. And so everything that I want to do with Nashville Christian Songwriters, with my marriage, with my parenting, with my ministry, with my worship leading and my songwriting, I want it to be just totally permeated with that idea. And that's how I keep myself mentally committed to my success at every level, is that I know that Jesus wants, beyond anything else, to be glorified in my life. And if I'm depressed, if I'm anxious, if I'm a failure, those kinds of things do not glorify him. But it's when I'm living out the glorious riches of the inheritance of the saints, when I'm fulfilling my calling as a songwriter and as a businessman, an entrepreneur, an encourager, a motivator of people such as yourself, then I am truly successful. So I want to encourage you today to take hold of your dreams again. Remember that faith is the substance of things hoped for. Don't let the enemy steal your hope. Don't let your dreams die. Hold on to your dreams. Begin to empower yourself again. Believe in God, yes, but believe in yourself as well. Believe in those dreams. If you believe in God, then you've got to believe in yourself, because he believes in you, and so do I. So today, make a choice to empower your dreams. Make a choice to empower yourself in Jesus again. We're here to help here at Nashville Christian Songwriters. We're going to continue to run our special at $149 for the NCS membership, where you get a lot of incredible benefits. We have song critiques, we have forums, we have master classes, we have incredible blogs and videos, and all kinds of things that will help empower you as you empower yourself for your songwriting dreams. Don't give up, people. Hold on to those dreams and let us know how we can support you. I'll see you next time on the Song Revolution podcast. Thanks for being here today for the Song Revolution podcast from Nashville Christian Songwriters. We exist to empower you and to bring you some of the greatest inspiration, insights, and important people from the Christian music world to help you write your best and to be heard as the songwriter that you were born to be. Be sure to like us on Facebook, follow us over on Twitter and Instagram, and connect with us through our Facebook group called Successful Christian Songwriters. Until next time, I'm John Chisum, calling you to a Song Revolution.